So hey, welcome back. I've been wanting to adjust the ride height vehicle for a while now, but just haven't gotten to the point where that was the next thing on the list. And it actually rides pretty good. Actually, I'm impressed. The previous person did this, pretty well. And this side is about, I think, I'll measure it, but I think it's about 25 inches from the bottom to the wheel arch, and then down here it's just under 2 feet, so 24 inches, maybe 23 3/4. I don't have the numbers on the stock height, but the book, the actual yellow book or orange book has some stock numbers in there I'll try to recreate, but they're measured from different components. They're measured from the internal components of the suspension. So we'll have to take the wheels off first to measure that, which will not be easy because the car's going to be jacked up. But either way, at the very least, I want to maybe raise this just like, I don't know, 1.5 inches, and correspondingly keep that high. You do want the front of the car to be higher than the rear, so you don't cause any oversteer issues. And like I said, this has been set up pretty well, so I'm going to get these tires off, put this on ramps and jacked up, and I'm going to attack the rear torsion bars in the back first. So we'll start to show you the section of the shop manual. I guess this is the orange or yellow book, but either way, there's a section in wheel alignment about the height adjustment, and you can see how it's measured. This is on the front. It's measured from that joint there. The front is easy to adjust because it does have an adjustment bolt, but the rear has, you need to kind of disassemble the rear suspension and adjust this torsion bar. So there is a bar that goes into the page that has some splines, and you can adjust them. It's the exact same suspension design that Volkswagen has. So I've done this before with a Volkswagen, and so I'll be doing it again. But either way, there is a measurement here for the stock ride height, and there is in the rear suspension section of this book a suggested angle. When all this is loose, there's no weight on the car, the angle of this sway bar here, or not sway bar, but torsion bar. So we'll dig into it and see where it's at, make some adjustments, put everything back together, and then see where she's riding. Okay, so I got it up on jack stands, and ideally do this level so you can actually measure that angle. This is the angle we want to measure. And then that's the end of the torsion tube, or torsion bar inside the torsion tube. But I'll just measure the angle that this car is currently at, and subtract it for the differential angle. Basically what you have to do, I have the book here, is basically unbolt everything from this so that you can, I'm not sure if you can see, get that bar, this bar free, and you'll have to pull the torsion tube back out. You can see some damage here that I'm kind of concerned about, but I think honestly that's from this car being so low that it pounded and broke that loose. It's the worst part of the car for rust right now, and I'm hoping there's no rust inside that torsion tube, or that torsion bar itself is not rusted into the spline. But either way, the first step here is to, here we go, raise car, remove rear wheels, then raise the radius arm with a special tool, which we don't have, but we'll deal that first. We can use the jack to maybe raise it, and then we can remove the shock absorber lower attachment bolt. So we'll remove all these control arm retaining bolts, remove retaining bolts from radius arm cover, and go from there. So not quite halfway through, but just want to document bolts that come off. So really you only got to take those 4 bolts off. These 2 are adjusting bolts. They're eccentric. It's kind of hard to see, but they're used to adjust certain suspension. And then now I have to take that cover off. I have the jack kind of just lightly resting on this the axle and all this whole assembly, so that it is loose, and this bar is just loose. So hopefully those come off pretty easily. The previous owner had put not Loctite, the opposite of Loctite, NECs on all these bolts, so that worked really well. So this is the rare instance where the previous owner, thank you. So let's get those off and see what it looks like. Okay, I'm back with a little more work done. I got that cover off. Beating on it, you can see all this rust came out, so that's always great. This cover needs to come off to allow that forward, but the bolt broke on this, so I have to fix that. But other than that, it actually came off really well. It's hard to see, but I'm wiggling it, it's loose. I measured this angle. Of course, the car's jacked up only on one side. This was 17.5. The car's at a 6-degree angle, so this sway bar, or not sway bar, I keep on calling it a sway bar, but this torsion bar is at 23.5 degrees. Stock is 33 degrees that way. So I think this guy might have just, each notch is about 9 degrees. So I know in the Volkswagen community, a lot of the guys who would lower the cars, they were just like, just do one notch, because one notch on one side is 9 degrees. And there's different number of splines on each side of these things. So ideally you can actually do one notch this way and then one notch that way, and that's a change of only 50 seconds, less than a degree. But if you just do one notch, then on either one side, it's actually a pretty big adjustment. So I'm gonna see if I can wiggle this thing off, take a look at the splines, take a look at the torsion bar, and go from there. Hopefully I can mark it before, so I don't make any changes. So I have it pulled, and I was measuring it. One click is about 9 degrees, so that's, as expected, and I can get it back to around 26, from 17.5 to 26.5. And plus this 6-degree tilt that the car is on, that would lead me to believe that maybe it was one click to lower this car the way it was, which was, I think I mentioned, pretty common for Volkswagens. I cleaned this up a little bit. It was covered in grease, which is good. The previous owner probably greased it up to keep it safe. I'm gonna mark it with a Sharpie and see if I can actually get this spring plate off the torsion tube, just so I can inspect it, re-grease it, and then put it back together the same way with a 33 degrees, and go from there. But you can see, I tried to mark it with that Sharpie in just 3 different spots, so I can align that later. I think that's grease in there. Hopefully I can pop this sucker out. I'm not sure. It's a recess, and that was all kind of packed with grease, which is good. But hopefully these markings are good enough to align it back, from where it was. So mission success. I got this torsion bar out. I've wiped it down. It was coated in grease, which is good. There is some rusts, but not a lot on the ends. And it has R on the outside there because it's the right side of the car, and a D on the other side. I don't know what 9 means, and I recall that there's certain, you can buy like heavy duty torsion bars and stuff like that. So I don't know if this is stock. It does have the word or the letters OKD or okayed. I don't know if that's coming up. Okay. But so maybe this is a stock bar. I'm not sure. It doesn't matter to me. There's my markings. Hopefully they'll line up with the spring plate, which is down there. I'm going to clean this up a little bit more. It's getting kind of dark, so I have to come back tomorrow to do the other side and get this back in. I still need to inspect that, make sure there's, at least coat it with some kind of protective oil to stop that torsion bar from rusting, and go from there. So mission success for disassembly. We'll reassemble it, do the other side. This is one of those jobs where one side takes the longest time and the other side probably takes 5 minutes. So thanks for tuning in for this one. I'll see you tomorrow morning. So it's the next morning. I'm underneath the car. It's kind of hard to film this, but that's what we're looking at the other side, the torsion tube right there. So that's what the actual the torsion bar goes through, which is right over there, attached to the spring plate. And it goes through this bar, or sorry, through this tube. And then underneath, it's bolted to this part of the suspension, so the swing arm. This part, I'm not sure if I'm using the right term, but this linkage is bolted to this. And this was all pretty well coated with an undercoating, so it looks like it's in good shape. But it actually goes through the whole car onto the other side. And here's the other side. You can see I actually pried some of this damage out. That's all related to the heater tube. At least I hope, but either way, the air heating goes through the body underneath there, and that was a low spot, so I think it got damaged and then just went from there. And there's actually like mud and stuff in there, but either way, the torsion tube looks solid, I guess. What I noticed was when I inspected the inside of this tube is you can see straight through the tube. So I think I'm gonna just take the torsion bar off on the driver's side now so that I can see straight through it. I'll coat the whole thing with, WD-40 or some chain lube, some kind of oil. I did run a magnet through from this side. I just ran a magnet through the tube and was able to pull out some just dust, iron filings, so there's definitely rust in there, but no like flakes or anything like that. I shined a flashlight in there and it looks okay. I'm obviously worried a little bit about all that, but I don't think that's structural. Even though it looks like this tube is welded to this part of the frame. This side is strong, so I'll look a little deeper. I can't really see on the other side of this because this is where that heater tube is. And there's some bolt, the cover plate bolts through here, and those bolts were fine. So I'll do some more research, but I feel like this is strong. It's certainly not rusted or cracked or anything like that. So fingers crossed on that, but on one project at a time, I'm gonna have to figure a way to repair this, maybe temporarily until I can get this thing on a rotisserie or something. But either way, I'm gonna go take off this part of the suspension and then pull both tubes out, and that way when I set them, they'll be the same angle. It'll give me the opportunity to actually level the car, jack up the front, make sure everything's level, measure everything, and bolt it back together, and then go and see how she sits. Okay, here's the side off, and of course this took no time at all. And here's that beautiful Bahama yellow hiding from me. The other one wasn't like this. I guess it was painted separately, the other plug there, but that has to come out for the bar to be retrieved. But it's kind of cool to see it. This is probably the best preserved section of the car that has that Bahama yellow. It's dirty and not perfect, but it's kind of cool to see that. But I did measure this one as well. It's 17.5, just like the other one was. So I think I'm going to jack the front of the car up and level this anyways, just to double check. And do the same thing I did with this, is just mark it and take it out. So here's the torsion bar, got it out. I made those white marks to correspond with those, so I could put it exactly on the same splines as before. This one was also covered in grease, which is a good sign. And even better, there was almost no dust rust. I think you should be able to see straight through the tube now, so that's pretty cool. And I'm gonna clean some of that stuff out. I'm not sure. It looks pretty good, so we'll see. You can almost see those splines too inside the tube. So ideally I would be finished replacing all these bushings as well, those rubber bushings. But I have a feeling I might do this more than once, so it gives me time to order those bushings. Just reset the ride height and go from there. But no, this is looking good. Interestingly, this one says, it doesn't say OK on it. It just says KD maybe, I'm not sure. And then on the outer side it says L, how it should say, because it's the left side. And then this one says E and maybe 6 or maybe 9. But either way. So one thing I'm wondering about is if I should reinforce this spring plate, because on this side you can see I kind of cleaned up with the grinder, and look, this looks great. Then the other side, it got eaten away a lot. There's still a nice fillet there, but it just looks thin right here. You kind of see the difference. So I'm not proud of it, but I did weld it with my flux core MIG welder. So it's only like 100 amp, so it can't even penetrate. So if anything, I just filleted the sides of this, which is good. I mean, I guess it will protect the actual structural weld a little bit longer. But you can see I tried to just match that and added a little bit of material here where it had scaled off. I didn't do that over here. You can see the difference maybe. But yeah, it looks like terrible, but it's a little extra material, and that'll help. So I have this one already over here that I didn't do anything to. I just stripped the paint and primed it. You can see how that side had some scaling, but not nearly as bad as what this one looked like. So I'm going to prime this one and then put them back on the car. So here they are, painted with some just black enamel. I think it's like semi-gloss or something, so it looks pretty good. It's only like an hour since I painted it, so it's dry, but it's still pretty soft. So while this hardens a little bit, I'm gonna go see about the front of the car, which I jacked up, and we'll adjust the front. It's just, ride height. So here I am under the front of the car. I have it pretty level, and that's the photo right there. Turn the torsion bar adjusting screw back. That's if you're removing the torsion bar. And here I'm on the passenger side. That's what that looks like. And I'm pretty sure, hopefully we can see that, that's the adjusting screw right there. So I'm just gonna, I think it's 19 millimeters, put a wrench around that and adjust that. And do the same on this side. And I think that's the adjusting screw right there. So we'll do that and see if I can see anything or if that nut moves. So here I am under the the driver's side, and that's the adjustment screw right there. When I got here, this was completely backed out. The other side right there, on the other side, it wasn't all the way backed out, but it was pretty low. So I tightened this up 3 turns, and that one about 2. And I, obviously you're just adding pre-tension on the torsion bars, so I don't know how many turns what that represents in terms of ride height, so I'll have to wait until I put the car on the ground to see the effect this had. But it's pretty simple, and compared to the rear, you just tighten or loosen that bolt, and then adjust the pre-tension on the torsion bar there. So so I got this measured up. It took some trial and error because I lost the marks I made, but this is exactly 33 degrees, give or take the accuracy of my phone, which I'm using as a level. On this side, the car is negative 0.5, and so that's measuring negative 33.5. So if it were perfectly level, that'd be 33 degrees. It is so low that bolt hole is blocked, and I don't think I'll be able to bolt this back together without putting some pressure on this and jacking that leaf spring or the spring plate up. So I'll probably have to use the jack to put some force on this just so I can get the bolts in here and that bottom bolt. But for now I can tighten these 3. I did get these 3 in just to hold the spring plate back into its position, and I'll probably wait to do that side. I'll do that side next and then come back and bolt everything together here. Okay, so I lied to you. I did bolt this one up first, So it just didn't make sense, but I might already here, so might as well bolt it up. I did have to use this jack to move stuff around. This strut, which is old and made in Mexico, so it's not original, though I'm sure it's fine, or was fine when it was new, is at its maximum extent. So I had to jack this up just to even get this last bolt in on the side. And then I did find out that you really have to put these eccentric bolts in first, and then this thing will go inside. Hopefully what I learned from this, installing this, I'll be able to expedite the one on the other side. And then I'll put her down and see how she sits. Okay, driver's side in. The secret is putting that bolt in first. And everything went in really well, except the dang shock absorber, but it needs to come out anyways. I'm losing daylight pretty quickly and I need to vacuum up some of that stuff, but hopefully I can put it back on its shoes and see how she sits. So here's the final result, and actually I drove it around a little bit, so it's sitting where it's normally sitting. And I can't remember if I mentioned I took some measurements before, just the measurement from the ground to the top of the wheel arch, and everything's up about 2 inches, maybe 3. The back is looking really good, and it's about 26.5 on the rear, on the driver rear, and about 26 on the front. And originally it was about 24 on the back, and this was like 25, so this is actually an inch higher than this. So I think I still need some adjustment, because it does kind of look like it's rear is high. Driving it is great. Driving it feels like a normal car. The bumps don't bounce you around as much. It doesn't look as sporty, but it drives way better. And I just always like a car that is more functional than maybe looks cooler. But honestly, I just like the stock look, the stock ride height. So I'm really happy with it. Interestingly, both pre and post, lifting it, that tire is maybe 1/4 of an inch. That side is 1/4 of an inch lower than this side, even though the torsion bars were the same. So I think that's just, I could tweak that. I could probably change that by a 1/50th of a degree on the spring plate and get these both to be the same height. But considering, well, I probably will do that because I need to get new bushings anyways. So maybe there's some small adjustments for the rear. For the front, I do need to maybe raise that at least another 1/2 inch, maybe an inch. And that's easy to do with the adjusting bolts like I showed earlier. So I will do that later. I probably won't show that on this episode or whatever, this video. But that's it. Thanks for watching, and till the next one. Thanks.